just had a session this morning based on ecosystem adaptation and the importance of protecting ecosystems. Give us a bit of an idea about why it's important to protect these ecosystems and why we should value them more.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the main point is that we do tend to undervalue ecosystems and biodiversity. We tend to take it for granted. We assume that because they're there, they'll always be there and they'll always be delivering these services, whether it's water filtration, nutrient cycling, whether it's providing us with the recreational facilities that we're really getting used to and enjoying. And we just assume it's always going to be there. And the fact of the matter is that we've seen from a number of studies, from another number of examples in the field, that climate change is going to have a negative impact on biodiversity and on ecosystems and on ecosystem services. The estimates are that with every 1 degree Celsius rise in temperature, an additional 10 to 20% of species are going to face increased risk of extinction. And yet we're still expecting these species and these ecosystems to deliver the same services they always have. And that, I think, is a key element of ecosystem-based adaptation that's often overlooked, is the fact that these services are under threat from the very climate change that they're supposed to be helping us adapt to. And for that reason, I think we need to stop and take a look now, before it's too late, at what services these ecosystems are providing, how we can value them, how they're contributing not just to adaptation, but also to livelihoods, to culture, and start to prioritize the maintenance of that value as we go forward in addressing the climate change issue.
How do we value them? What price can we put on a forest that helps provide fresh water, or protects the animals that we some of us might eat?
Well, some of the services are very easy to value. If you're looking at the value of forest and providing lumber, it's very easy. You look at the global market price for lumber and how much lumber you have in a forest, and that's the value of that forest for lumber extraction. Some of the other values are much harder to put a price tag on. The study on the economics of ecosystems and biodiversity attempted to do that, but there's still a lot of work to be done. You can ask people what they would pay to keep the forest intact or the ecosystem intact. You can look, as many studies have done, at what it would cost you to replace those services with hard infrastructure. So if you're taking out mangroves and as a result you need to put in dikes and dams, what would be the cost of installing those dikes and dams, and is that the value of that ecosystem? But when you get to cultural values, spiritual values, recreational values, it becomes much, much harder. One of the presentations today spoke about the fact that during cyclones, villages that were behind mangroves had less of a loss of life. How do you put a value on the ecosystem service provided in saving a life? Insurance agencies have for years and years been trying to put a dollar amount on lives, and they've had some of the best economists in the world working on it and haven't been able to do it. So now we're looking at extending that to ecosystem services, and it is very difficult. So I think we need to do our best. I think that we're at the stage right now where ecosystems are so undervalued that even if we don't capture the full value, just moving from capturing none of the value to 10, 20, 30% of the value will tip the scales in terms of decision making at the political level.
I was reading in my Michelin guide this morning to Rio that about 20 years ago, the city authorities were so worried about the provision of fresh water, they launched a massive reforestation campaign all across Rio. Apparently 20, 30 years ago, there were huge areas of the forest were absolutely devastated. Do we have much evidence of that kind of strategic planning amongst local authorities around the world? Because almost the human mentality, if you don't have enough fresh water, is to build a pipe and get it from someone else.
You're actually increasingly seeing that, especially in Latin America. Latin America has really been leading the way in payments for ecosystem services, really tied into the links between forests and vegetative cover and the provision of fresh water, prevention against flooding. So if you want to look at great examples of forward-thinking authorities at the local and at the national level, then you look at countries like Colombia, like Brazil, cities like Rio. Costa Rica has for decades had a very well-developed system of payments for ecosystem services. So certainly in this part of the world, it is very, very clearly recognized at all levels that if we want to maintain water, we need to maintain forests.